Hello, Edumagicians. Welcome to the Edumagic podcast with your host, Dr. Sam Fesich. Dr. Sam is a professor of education, author of Edumagic, and a pumpkin spice latte fan. This podcast is designed for pre-service teachers. Remember, friends, teaching doesn't begin at graduation, but during that first class at 8 a.m. Let's get this party started.
Angela Kelly Robeck, host of the Empowered Principal Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey Edumagicians, it's Sam, and before we start into this episode, I want to share with you about an amazing resource. It's called the Educator Candidate Member Portal. AAEE provides you with resources such as virtual job fairs, a job board, interview tips and prep, resume building, webinars. You can even get a copy of the Job Search Handbook digitally. So head on over to aaee.org and create your free Educator Candidate Member account today. Friends, one more thing before we get started. This episode is brought to you by my new course, Digital Portfolios from Scratch to Interview Ready. Head on over to sfesich.com/courses for more information about this self-paced, hands-on virtual workshop.
Hey everyone, it's Sam. I'm excited to be back with you guys today. Excited to be sharing some strategies and tips along with Geneva Rodriguez, who is going to be joining us in just a moment. She's going to be sharing about tips and strategies to help teaching students with special needs in the online space. Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon. I'm doing good. I actually just got off live with my students. The sun is out. It's going to look like it's going to be an amazing day. So
it's going to be a great day. Yeah. Yes. Geneva, it's great having you here.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So today we're talking all about reaching and teaching students with special needs in the online space. And what's really interesting is we met over on Facebook, then Instagram, then Twitter, and I feel like we started following each other on all the social medias. But what's really cool is we both connected over our love for teaching students with severe disabilities. And I think this is going to be a fantastic conversation. I'm excited for it. So Geneva, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, I'm super excited too. I think this is a conversation that is really looked over a lot, especially when it comes to remote learning. So my name is Geneva. Yes. I am a teacher in New York, and I work with students with severe disabilities. Like you said, District 75 is the district for students with severe disabilities alternately assessed. So I've been teaching for 7 years. I came into the program, not sure if you're familiar with it, it's our New York Teaching Fellows. It's a program because there is such a high need of teachers in the city, special needs teachers, math teachers, the specialty content areas. And I am a career changer, and it was the best decision I made. Again, 7 years, and I've been working with District 75, ranging from pre-K all the way to high school. So I've worked with all different grades, different levels, cognitive, academically, and it's been a great experience. It was the best decision I ever made. The change was made because I was dealing with a transition with my son going into special education. He had to get evaluated, and he was in New Jersey at the time, and I just felt the process, there weren't enough teachers or staff that actually cared about getting to know students on an individual level. And I had to take a leave of absence from work, and just working on the process and getting in touch with just teachers and staff and services for him really motivated me to get into education and be that one teacher that would do that for students. So yeah.
I love that. I love how you shared your teaching story. And I truly believe teaching is the best profession on the planet. So I'm so glad you are here at 7 years in. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I love it. I mean, yeah, best decision ever. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I can tell the excitement in your voice. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yes. So you shared a little bit about how you entered into the field of special education, but what keeps you, why did you select students with multiple disabilities or severe disabilities?
I did my student teaching in a District 75 school. And at first, when I applied for the program, I knew I wanted to work with special needs kids, but I didn't realize that the choice I checked was for severe disabilities, but God has a way of making things happen. And
He does.
I did the teaching program and the student teaching, and I just fell in love with them. I just fell in love with their innocence. I just fell in love with their passion for education, whether it's to read or write. So they don't care about what's happening around them, and they really just want relationships. And that is the big thing for me. It's all about the relationships you build and just the connections you make with the students. And I know they're looked at differently, and we have to raise our students and others, and other, even adults, how to just not treat, people with disabilities differently. And, they just have a special place in my heart. And I did the student teaching, and I just fell in love with them. And I just said, this is where I need to be. They need me. They need people like this that take the time, that have the patience, that really do love education and have a passion for it, because they need a lot of patience and time.
Yes. And I remember whenever you shared about that, I think it was on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, me too. I do have a student teaching experience in a multiple disabilities classroom. Most of the students in the class were nonverbal, both were in wheelchairs or had walkers and things like that. And I didn't, going into special education, I didn't even think that was a possibility to work with students that were in that multiple disability category. I thought special education was like learning support and co-teaching and those types of things. And those are great placements, but I really wanted to, like you said, make that relationship and have that one-on-one connection with students. So when I was able to have a student teaching experience and to find a job in that is just amazing. It's just amazing.
I know.
And, since COVID, I've been reflecting and I've been thinking, how would I have taught my students with multiple disabilities in the online space? And lo and behold, we connect on Facebook. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have been looking for you for like a year. I am so glad we connected.
That's
so
awesome.
Geneva, you're here to share with us some strategies that you use to reach and teach your students in the remote learning space. And before we get started, how long have you been doing remote learning?
Since March of last year when COVID hit.
So for a year.
For a year. Yeah, it's been over a little over a year. Yes. So when we all went remote, and I was working from home. Well, I was still going into the building because I had all my resources and tools there and everything. So I was still going in and out of the building. Then they closed the buildings. So I had to just pack up everything and take as much as I can to come home. And I'm just like, what are we? And then, it was insane. And then we did summer school because, our students in this district go to school for 12 months. I'm not sure if in other states it's the same, but because of the IEP, they're entitled to 12 months. Yeah.
Yes.
So we did summer school. And then this year I was supposed to be in the building, but literally from one day to the next, all my students and their families decided, and I'll go more into that. As to why they decided that remote was best for their students. I mean, it was very conflicting because, they need the hands-on support and all that stuff, but the safety and the mask wearing and the sensory and all that stuff and the social distancing, that's difficult for them, which again, I'll go in a little bit more. But my class ended up going from one day to the next, fully remote. I was supposed to be in the building, and we started calling parents to make sure they still wanted the students to come in if they felt safe about this. And all my students end up going remotely. So I've been working from home. I don't have medical accommodations. It's just my whole class ended up going remote. So, and then, great experience, but that's how long I've been doing so far. Yeah.
And I'm sure you've learned a lot in that year. And would you mind sharing a couple of your strategies that you use to connect with your students?
Of course. Yes. So the first thing, and this applies to in the building and out of the building, just building relationships. We know the importance of that. And even if it's special needs students or not, we just know the importance of building relationships because like Rita Pearson said, I don't know if you ever listened to her TED Talk, students are not going to learn from people they don't like, right? If you don't take the time to know your students on an individual level. And that, again, like my son, he wasn't getting that individual support and need or just someone to really take the time to get to know them. So I make that a priority of mine. Within the first few weeks of school, whether it's remote or in person, it's all about relationship building. And you can see the benefit of it later on. And not only with my students, with the staff in your class, because, with special needs class, you have paras, you have teaching assistants in your class. Sometimes you have more staff than students in the class.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Sometimes it even amounts, sometimes you have a little more.
Service providers. So there's a lot of collaboration and relationship building needed. And it's not only with the students, but with the staff. So for me, it's important to build those relationships in the beginning. Learning is in a place, it's not a place, it's a relationship, right? Learning is a relationship, and a student is going to want to learn from you, listen to you, or retain anything you're telling them if they really do know that you're there for the good, for a good reason. Your heart is in the right place. Another thing is building routines and structures. We had that in the classroom, and I noticed a shift in a lot of teachers that they kind of went off on something brand new and didn't create a routine and structure in the classrooms. And then their classroom management was struggling. The relationships with the students were struggling. Teaching wasn't happening. Learning wasn't happening, right? Because you didn't have those structures. So it is really important, especially with kids with students with special needs. They need that structure. They need a routine. You know that. Even with us adults, we need it.
We need that routine too.
So routines and structures are very important. And I think that would allow for more engagement and more student involvement. And it also helps the parents. One of the biggest struggles is the students were with us. They were on the bus at 6 a.m. They didn't get home till like 4, right? So we have them a big chunk of the day.
Yes.
A lot of the parents were not equipped, just not knowing how to deal with the students being home all this time. We were the structure. We were the educators. We were the ones that did the management of behaviors, and they didn't have that. So helping parents with routines and structures in the classroom are very helpful as well. I've sent home many schedules, visual schedules. Visuals are very important. I send home laminated schedules so they can reuse, even down to brushing your teeth, washing your hands, getting ready for school, helping out at home. I deal with high school students, so we teach them a lot of vocational life skills.
Yes.
So providing them with a realistic routine or schedule is a great strategy to keep everyone on the same page with remote engagement. We put academics a little bit on the back burner. It's more of the SEL, right? Focusing on the students' well-being. I think overall, not only with special needs, as students and teachers, as all together, we need that to focus on the SEL. So, just keeping up with the routines, helping the parents set up a routine and structure at home. That's very important. And that's going to open up relationships and open up just more engagement in live instruction. I've noticed an improvement with my students. Number 3, I put here SEL overload. I am all about SEL. I'm an advocate for SEL. And not only for students, sometimes we forget the staff, but the students really, really, really need it. And before learning can happen, we need to check on the social well-being of our students. So I do an emotional check-in. So I have a structured routine in the beginning of our live session. Sometimes it is from like a half hour to 45 minutes, but I get so much during that time. And it's needed, right? So we do an emotional check-in. We use Clash Dojo, which has tons of social emotional videos and learning activities. So we just do a check-in, and it's simple as, how are you feeling? How was your weekend? Because also we want to make sure a lot of our students, they're not eating at home. They're not sleeping at home. They're not bathing at home, right? Because a lot of times the students have special needs, but families also, are not equipped to, deal with them. And I deal with a lot of students from socially disadvantaged neighborhoods. So the school food was the only the meals they were getting, right? So, while we're checking on their social emotional well-being, we're also making sure that they're eating, that they're okay. We're creating a safe space for them, and that's important. They might not have someone to communicate with them at home, so we provide that through our remote learning. And it's just, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Share one thing, you did this weekend. And then we try to encourage the social interaction, because, a lot of kids with special needs, they're in their little bubbles, right? They don't care about what's happening left or right or whatever. It's just their world. So we need to, promote socializing and engagement with the other students. So we kind of provide sentence strips. So I'll provide them like a sentence start of asking questions. I model it for them. At this point, I mean, my students they're so comfortable now with asking each other questions. It's all about, did you brush your teeth this morning? Did you take a shower? Did you eat a meal? But it's holding each other accountable, but also engaging. We know we don't get that a lot from our students. I do a lot of movement. My students don't get physical education. Yes. They don't get physical education through remote learning. Only the students that are in the building get it. So I put, during our morning check-in, we have movement, and I do like brain breaks. We do Jack Hartman, which they love. We sometimes I put Happy by Pharrell, and we just make our own dances. And we'll do between 3 to 6 minutes depending on what they want. And I give them the option, right? It's all about self-advocacy as well. We want our students to speak and voice their opinions. I take a vote so everyone knows that they're treated fairly. And if we do one today, we'll do the other one. Or we do two, we have time, we'll do two. So I engage them like that. They love the movement, and it also gets them energized, right? We're sitting on the couch, we're sitting on our beds. We're not really moving like we used to during the school year. So I encourage that with movement, stretching, yoga. We do sitting yoga. A lot of our kids, a lot of our students have, they have physical therapy or OT, so they are, their movement there is very limited. So we do some sitting yoga, and they love it. And they're learning how to express how they feel before and after. So I feel like all these strategies really do help with the engagement. You want to get students involved, and it might not be, oh, let's do 2 + 2, or what's the capital of New York or whatever.
Right.
The SEL and the movement, it's so important for our students. I use a lot of music, a lot of videos, tons of visuals. Some of my students use communication devices to speak because they don't have they can't verbally communicate. So we have like this, I don't know if you can see it. We have something like this. Yes. Yeah. It's called Touch Chat HD. And I have 2 or 3 students in my class that use it, and it's personalized for them. And we use it for our weather check-in. So they're able to participate, right? We want to make education accessible to everyone, whether if they have speech, they don't have. So we use pictures, we use videos, we use songs. And then we use for the ones that do not have, they cannot verbally communicate, they communicate with this. And, we're working on just tap, what's the weather? Or how are you feeling? But now we're creating sentences on the actual device, and they're, it's building up their vocabulary and their communication. I also implemented a social hour for everyone. Yeah, so every Friday we do a social hour it's also to involve the family, right? To get the parents involved. Nice. Yeah. So we do like an art room. We have a chat room. We use YouTube tutorials on the art. And it's so amazing how our students are just able to draw and follow directions. There's so many fine motor skills involved. Like, there's so many skills embedded in doing an art project, right? Yeah. And we have to realize that even if we feel we're just talking about the weather, or we're just talking about their emotions, that those are skills they need to be, to go out into the community and be, to be functionable in society. And, so remote learning it wasn't easy. I'm still learning, but you also have to accept that you are a lifelong learner, right? That's what they tell us all the time. We have to embrace that we're learners, and we don't have all the answers, and collaborating with the teachers, collaborating with your team and the related service providers will help you put together better strategies or how to work with your students. Also, one more strategy. I know I went off on a lot of stuff.
Oh my gosh. No, this is fantastic.
Okay, good. Recording yourself. So I use Class Dojo, and even I do live instruction with them. But I also record mini lessons, and I leave it on Dojo. That way they can also reflect back. Repetition is important for our students. So, I was teaching them, like I said, we do academics. So I'm teaching them how to, with the weather, we try to connect it with the real life situations, with the weather, adding and subtracting, what comes first, next, and last, the sequencing. If today is Monday, yesterday, so knowing yesterday, tomorrow, right? Reading the calendar. So I'll do mini lessons like that. That way they can always go back and reflect on it on Dojo. It'll also help them to complete some of their assignments. So recording yourself, I do have a YouTube page that I share with them, with the families. Like, hey, I recorded mini lessons. So if you want to refer back to them, you can. Also, recording myself sweeping or mopping. Like I said, I have high school students, so they need vocational. Yes. So, and then there's so many skills within that. Like, you know, what do you do first? What do you do next? What do you do last? The safety that goes into it, the supplies you need, right? So it does look different for our students with severe disabilities, but it's doable, right? And we have to be creative. We are teachers, but you know, we wear many hats.
Yes.
We wear many hats, and we sometimes have to be silly. We have to be animated. You know, I talk like this with my students. I'm silly with them. I sing with them. Like I dance with them. I do the movement with them, and I get up from my chair. They want to see you do it as well. Right. So I do things. I get up from my chair. I do the movement with them. And the videos definitely do help. Like I make healthy snacks with them. We want to teach them how to make meals on their own also. So if you're teaching them how to make a sandwich, it's a safe meal, right? They can do that by themselves. So what do you need for a sandwich? The steps, model it for them, and record video so they can watch it, and that will help them, because we know, like I said, repetition is important for our students.
Right. Yes. I'm loving all of these strategies, Geneva, from getting up and moving to SEL, so important, giving them options for communication, so they can show what they know through their communication device or verbally or signing, however they communicate, just giving them that option for communication. That's phenomenal.
Yes. And I've seen so much growth in the students' community. Like I said, they started with just pointing or just picking a picture, but now they're engaging more and they want to say more. So they are growing. And
Geneva, whenever I was teaching students with severe disabilities, the parents that were in the classroom were partners in the learning and in the education. Yes. I always communicated with them, let them know what's going on, what we're doing in class, what's coming up, what we're reading, all those things. And I can imagine it's the same for you as well. Yes. Probably even more important now as a remote teacher. So how do you partner with the parents? What are some strategies? I know you mentioned Class Dojo is phenomenal. Yes. So what are some strategies that you're using to make sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to remote learning?
Okay, so Class Dojo is one. We also have a parent newsletter that I put together. I was doing it just for my class, but then we started using that school-wide because it was important. We have parents at work, parents that are not available, parents that don't know what's going on, and they want to further support their their children. So the newsletter just gives us, it gives them a little blurb of what's happening in the classroom, how they can be involved, how they can, further support at home. We provide them with tips and resources of creating schedules, of management at home, just more awareness. We send home resources, right? Like I said, the laminated charts, so they're more involved. I have a lot of parents. I've been grateful for my class. My parents actually are like hands-on. Awesome. and they're there. So they're helping the students while we're in class. I see them there. They're helping them set up. They're redirecting them. They're praising them. They have been really involved. But my communication, and it's even before remote, has been my communication line is very open. I know that parents have different situations at home. I know students have different situations. So I allow them to text me, to call me. And I know a lot of people, that's not, you can't do that. But remote learning is just changed everything, right? It changed the playing field for everybody. And we're navigating waters we don't know. And even it's a year later, it's still, right? And it's still a struggle for a lot of our parents. So I remind them that I'm there. But if you need to text me or call me, I'm available. If you need a video chat me because you're having an issue with your, with the student, or you're just not sure, I just keep that line of communication open. And, with the newsletter, with Class Dojo, with them having access to my cell phone number and video chat, it's helped me build great relationships with them, because we know parents need to be involved. Parents are important. It takes a village. I stand by that proverb.
Yes.
And it's everyone, and we need to make that happen. And if it looks like them texting you, asking you for advice, or saying, hey, can you send me some more reading material for this student? Sure. Or, emailing them additional resources because, they're having a hard time putting their child to sleep, or they're having a hard time getting their child to take a shower. Just letting them know that I genuinely am there for them in their best interests, and just making myself available. And that has been very helpful. And when everyone's on board, we just see so much progress in the students and even in their just attitudes towards education.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love how you said it takes a village. It really does. From related support service professionals to nurses, to parents, to caregivers and teachers, and everyone in between. It really does take a village. When we're all on the same page, the students flourish.
That's right.
Geneva, this has been fantastic. I loved all the strategies that you shared.
Awesome.
You've been mentioning Class Dojo a lot. So could you share like a 30-second pitch about Class Dojo, what it is and why we should use it? And how you use it as well. If you have any other strategies that you didn't mention before whenever using Class Dojo.
Yes. Well, I use Class Dojo is amazing. I love it because it's very it's easy to use for parents, for students, and for teachers. And that's what we need, right? Because a lot of our students and parents are not comfortable or are you familiar with using technology, right? So Dojo is easy. It provides a platform for teachers to share things, parents to just be up to date with what's going on in the school. I use it for, there's a portfolio section, which is the best part. So you can, so there's I know. So it's a portfolio section where you can upload assignments. The students have the option to provide, to text their answer, to record their answer, to draw their answer, which we need that for our students, right? Because not a lot of them type, or not a lot of them can record themselves, but if they can draw their answer, then guess what? They did the assignment, right? And you can upload PDFs. You can upload a recording of yourself giving an instruction, which I love because they love to see you. It's a connection. Even though we're on a screen, it's still a one-to-one connection with them. And the portfolio just, you can grade it, you can comment, you guys can go back and forth, with checking it, and it keeps all the assignments there. So you want to check the students' growth, the progress, where if there's other areas you need to address, and then all teachers and service providers have access. Once you add them to your class, they can add assignments, they can give points to the students, and I'll get into that quickly because I use it for my classroom management, which has been amazing. So the portfolio section is awesome. I also create events. So if I want to remind the students, hey, we have Spirit Week, or hey, we have a movie event, you can put an event, it'll pop up on their parents' email, it'll remind them a day before. So if they, everyone has a crazy life, hectic, everything's going on. So Dojo sends those reminders, which is great. The classroom management has been amazing on there. I use it for everything. So I edit it based on the needs of my students. So we do struggle with hygiene with our students. So I added actually, you can get points if you brush your teeth and take a shower. And my kids love getting points. Just putting it on the screen, and I share it during remote learning, and I give them that moment of shine. I clap for them. We praise for them. Everyone claps if they get their points, motivate them. And they look forward to getting those points and getting recognized for their efforts and the things that they're doing. So we added hygiene. We added doing your job at home, because again, my students are high school level. So I try to motivate them and encourage them to do and that's another way I get parents involved. Like, hey, help them, give them a job, whether it's fixing their bed, whether it's doing the dishes, whether it's cleaning the table. Like you need to prepare them with these skills, because if they're going to move out or go to a day hab or, independent living, they need to have these basic skills of taking care of so they get points if they did the job at home. They get points if they did their homework. If they help others in the classroom, they get points, and they love it. And they love counting it. They love hearing the little ding when it comes up. Like it's such a great motivator, and it does keep the class, going smoothly, because I remind them of those constant reminders. Hey, what you're earning, what you're working for, right? If they get distracted, if they, if they start, if they interrupt, are you following the rules, right? So I love Class Dojo.
It is fantastic.
Yes.
It has mindfulness as well, moments. Yeah.
Yes.
And group makers, timers, all sorts of things for like in-person and also remote learning for classroom management and monitoring behavior.
Yes.
And you touched on a great point that everyone working with that child can have access to that. So
Yes.
teachers, service providers, that is fantastic.
Yes.
Geneva, this has been such a fun conversation. I loved hearing all the strategies that you shared for working with students in the online space, connecting with those parents, and a special shout out to Class Dojo. Would you mind sharing where we can connect with you if we have any questions, comments, and any questions that we have?
Okay, awesome. Well, on Instagram, I'm teach_ISM. So it's TEACH_ISM. I'm also on Twitter, G Rodriguez 183. And so you can reach out to me on Twitter or on Instagram. I mean, I can go off on all my handles, but we'll just leave it at those two.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, you too. Bye for now.
Bye.
And there you have it, Edumagicians. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. For more EduMagic, check out sfessage.com and follow Dr. Sam on Twitter and Instagram @sfessage. Until next time, you have the EduMagic within you.